We are live again from the 74th Lindau Nobel Laureate Meeting on the beautiful medieval island of Lindau, Germany. And I'm here with not one of the 600 young scientists attending this year, not one of the 30 plus Nobel laureates that's here, but a previous young scientist. In the vernacular of the meeting, after you're a young scientist and attend a meeting, you become an alumnus. And so you're part of the Lindau Alumni Network. J.J. Richardson, ladies and gentlemen, give him a round of applause. And we're in an unusual situation. So one of the traditions of the Lindau meeting is this Tuesday night grill and chill. And so we just had a great buffet style meal, and behind us you can see everybody celebrating their laureates. There are young scientists. There are some locals that are invited to attend. There's some special guests. And in this video, what I want to do is talk to, so we didn't actually meet, did we? But in 2017, I was at the meeting, and it was a chemistry meeting, and you were a young scientist.
Yes. Yeah. So I saw your face. I saw you for the Sciathon in 2020.
I chose not to interview you, apparently.
Yes, yeah. Or I chose not to be interviewed. We'll see.
Yeah. You tell your version, I'll tell mine. And so you were at the 2017 meeting. You had a good time, I imagine?
It's incredible. I mean, it's the best science event for young scientists in the world, by far.
Yeah, and then what I really want to talk to you about is, at the end of the meeting, you became a member of the Lindau Alumni Network, which at this point, 74 years into the meeting, there are some 35,000 members. This is 35,000 young scientists that have been mentored at this meeting. And then the motto of the meeting is educate, inspire, connect. And this is really about the connecting part. And so usually there's kind of a joke at the meeting that you can only attend once unless you win a Nobel Prize or unless you're a science comedian, apparently.
Well, yeah, I'm neither of those.
No, but you had an opportunity to attend because Christoph, who runs the Lindau Alumni Network, sent out a solicitation for project ideas and a great opportunity. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, so it was the Scientists for Nature. So it was called this Quantum Leap for Biodiversity. So it was asking all 35,000 alumni if they had a solution that would move biodiversity a giant step forward.
Specifically about biodiversity.
Specifically about biodiversity, but didn't matter if it was you're an ecologist, a nanoscientist, a chemist, a veterinarian, anything that you thought was radical in biodiversity.
And the opportunity was to come to the meeting, not for the full meeting, but for a few days.
Yep. And
take part in a pitch that, I guess you previously have done Shark Tank. So is it something like that?
I've done Shark Tank. It was very similar, but I got to do it with my buddy, which was awesome. And there was 44 teams, I think, from around the world applied, and 4 got chosen, which was really great. We had to come the farthest all the way from Australia, but we got to pitch for 10 minutes, our science, its impact on the world, its impact for agriculture, but also for biodiversity.
Can you describe the audience you were pitching to?
It was closed door, invite only, and it was a range of investors, influential people, stakeholders, advisors, top scientists from around the world. It was a very mixed bag. We had never talked to an audience like that. So diverse and interdisciplinary.
So the idea was you have a project that requires funding?
Yes, so we have a formulation that sticks existing pesticides to leaves so they don't come off in the rain. It means we can use 1,000 times less pesticide every growing season. So we've done it in the lab, we've done it in a small field trial, and now we want to get it out to the world because not only will it make crops that we can all eat safer and cheaper, but it'll also help stop all these invasive pathogens destroying our biodiversity all over the world.
When you say a formulation, and you say this is a technology, platform?
Yes, so we make a nano coating on anything, and we can put different pesticides in, we can kind of like Legos break it in and out, and since it's so thin, this nano coating, we need so little pesticide. And since it lasts through the rain, we only have to apply it once the whole season.
And you invented this?
Yeah. So I invented the underlying technology with some colleagues 10 years ago. We published in Science, which is a great, publication.
Sounds legit.
It sounds legit. But over the last 10 years, I've been looking at what do we actually do with it? It's cool science, but how do we get it out there to the world? And I have an incredible PhD student who's a Hollywood writer and director that wanted to solve the problem of pesticides in his home.
Because he's really into gardening.
He's into gardening.
He's a filmmaker and a comedian and has a big interest in gardening.
And he came to me and he said, JJ, I want to film a documentary of you solving this problem. And I said, how about you solve it with me? And we do it together and we document it. And the science went way better than we could ever expect. And so we're now at the point where it's ready to get out to the world. So yeah, we got to pitch these investors, influential people, nonprofit leaders, even some people who do documentaries, and tell them our whole story about the science, the documentary, and the biodiversity for the first time ever.
And I heard, I mean, you were up against some stiff, not really a competition because there's not a winner. Potentially all of the projects could be funded if they're all interesting, right?
And it was such a cool concept because we all got to pitch our plans for biodiversity, but I'm a nanotechnologist. One person was a vet, one person, a computational chemist. And so we weren't competing, but our stories all wove together perfectly because biodiversity needs a lot of solutions rather than one silver bullet.
Excellent. So it went well, and I got to hear some feedback at dinner last night from some of those people that were in your audience, and it sounded like, even talking behind your back, it sounded like they really liked the way the two of you presented, and they loved the
well, we have a world-class scientist and a world-class comedian together.
Yeah.
And people loved the tag team. And we'd never done a tag team pitch before. We actually had never even practiced this one because we were flying it on different planes and things, and it was awesome. Yeah, we're like best friends, so it was a cool pitch, but people loved it. And they understood what we were trying to do, which is the important thing.
So if you happen to be a young scientist that is a member of the Lindau Alumni Network, or maybe you're a young scientist who might want to attend the meeting sometime, this is one of the cool things about it. The Alumni Network, this is not like any other science meeting, and in so many ways. And one is you're becoming a part of a network, and there are all sorts of cool opportunities.
Well, the coolest thing about this is the person who pitched before us, she couldn't get her visa, so she had to pitch remotely. But she was on my sciathon team 5 years ago. So actually, she was a young scientist, and I was a sciathon group leader for the first sciathon, which I also saw you virtually.
That's what I was going to just ask you.
Also saw you there, and your science communication, education. And so actually, it was kind of like my third time attending, but she has moved up. She works for the Indian Space Agency, and so she gave a pitch too, and I'm thinking, I know Garima, we work together. And
I interviewed her a year or two ago.
You would have, because she's incredible.
Because when you said the Indian Space Agency, yeah.
So it was so wild that the Alumni Network spans countries, it spans years, and my Australian, alumni colleagues, we still get together. We do science together.
Yeah.
My supervisor that I studied under in Japan had went to Lindau. His supervisor had went, so it's a cool history.
So tell me just briefly then, so you're a nanotechnologist. Just tell me a little something more about just you and your science in general and what you love about it.
Yeah, so I love that I work on coatings. And coatings, they control interfaces, they control surfaces. And surfaces are how we interact with the world. So by putting a coating on something, you can completely change how it interacts with bacteria, viruses, cancer cells, plants. And so we work at this interface of nanotechnology and life. It's fun.
Very cool. Do you have, I've been saying stuff to people that might want to apply for this meeting, anything you want to say to a young scientist?
You have to apply. There's people from all over the world here. They're all motivated, and you get to hear from 30 plus Nobel laureates, and their stories are wild. Sometimes they tell you about their science. Sometimes they tell you that they grew up on a farm, and you realize that anyone can discover incredible science.
Excellent. And what about science in general? I like hearing about the love of science. You clearly love what you do. Like what gets you up in the morning to go to work? Because you seem to love. That's the thing about scientists in general too. It's like in your social time, we're talking. We're talking science. They have other interests, but you're passionate and talk about science. So you seem to like. What gets you out of bed and gets you into the lab?
Yeah, so the discovery part does. The bureaucracy or writing grants doesn't as much. But working with young and old scientists and middle-aged scientists like me, that's what gets me up. Working with Rob on these cool projects and having a movie maker that's curious come in and say, I want to change the world. How do we do that? That's what gets me up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's keep this short, mostly because thunder, lightning, and the setting sun.
Yep.
3 good reasons. So, is there anything that, do you have any kind of online presence that you would want to point people towards?
Not a huge, you can find me on LinkedIn if you have questions about, Lindau or science or anything like that. I'm not too good on Instagram. I know you are. You're the king of Instagram. But no, you can find me and ask me about Lindau because I've been fortunate enough to come twice, one of the few, and I'll hopefully find a way to come again.
And Robert Mond, your partner.
Robert Mond.
You can check out his IMDb page.
Check out his IMDb. He just got a LinkedIn. You can follow him there, but he loves Instagram. So message him if you're not a scientist yet and you're thinking about doing a PhD or doing science. Talk to Rob about it. He's documenting the whole process. It's a great journey, and don't be afraid of science.
Don't be afraid of science, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll be back more this week with interviews with young scientists and slightly older scientists. I'm Brian Malow, and we'll see you again soon.